Okay, and it looks like we're good to go here, everyone. What's up, everyone, and welcome to tonight's show. This is the Xbox Roundtable Podcast, with it being show number 229, your favorite place on Sunday nights to relax and listen to Xbox talk and more from around the game industry. Naturally, this is your host, Invader, and I am extremely excited to be here with you tonight, as always, correct? We got lots to cover, from Sony's latest state of play, a Warhammer game show, and our own predictions for next week's Xbox game showcase. Certainly lots to go over. But first, as everyone is just starting to tune in and come in, grabbing a cold one and some snacks, how about we introduce everybody? And I will start off with General MLD. Buddy, how you been the past week?
Doing pretty good. Just this and that with the family. As gaming goes, I've been bouncing between Sniper Elite 5 and Elden Ring. I cannot put Elden Ring down. Like, I just beat a boss. If anyone's played Elden Ring, Star Scourge Radon, that giant boss looks like Ganondorf's final form in the desert. That was a doozy. But yeah, I love that game. First Souls game ever. Highly recommended. But yeah, can't wait for this show, guys.
Okay, all right, very nice. Moving on down here. Welcome back, Tim Dog. How have you been, man?
Yeah, just like I was saying pre-show, I'm extremely busy. Got some little time off here. This Sunday coming up, we got this huge show from Xbox. We're gonna have a really good show today. Energy's real good. Really happy to be here. Sorry about being so inconsistent, but like I said, just been working every Sunday for the last month, and just happy to be here. And no time for better. This is going to be a rocking show. So tune in and get ready. We're going to have a lot to talk about. It's going to be fun.
No doubt, and I am loving the energy so far. It's great to have a full house. And moving on down the list, Eric Shockley, buddy, how you doing over there, bud? Feeling any better?
Yeah, I'm back to 100% from last week. But yeah, not much. Been we'll get into some Resi talk later. But yeah, I've been debating jumping back into Resident Evil remake. But I have that free one that that we got for the Games with Gold. But I'm like, that there is something about the GameCube version that the like atmosphere is kind of creepier in that one. It just kind of fits it better. Whereas like the HD remastered, everything's like cleared up and it's like almost too clean. Still looks great, but I have a great big huge 4x3 CRT to sit in front of me to kind of engulf me with the GameCube version. So I just happen to be lucky to have one that's like HDMI modded and everything ready to go. So might jump into that, but man, those achievements are calling me. So it almost hates to play some of my retro consoles because it's like, wait, this isn't earning me any Microsoft Rewards points or trophies there. But
yeah, that's the thing about it, right? Because even I do that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm logging in. Is it a part of Game Pass? Am I going to be earning any rewards and so on? Because every little bit helps, right? So yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, totally agree with you on that. Got me hooked on the rewards for sure. Moving on down here, Crusader, how have you been, man?
It's been a good week for me. I played through the entire Resistance series on PS3.
Oh yeah.
Resistance 1 and 2 were okay games, but my lord, did I enjoy Resistance 3. I had a blast with it. It's in my top 10 FPSs. Like I've been on an FPS kind of binge for a while. I played Crisis, then Killzone, then Resistance, and man, Crisis 3 and Resistance 3, excellent games. I'm genuinely kind of mad that the Resistance games have been left on the PS3. Other than that, I was on Crossfire podcast on Friday, and that was a lot of fun. But very happy to be here tonight and gonna talk all about all things coming up soon this week. Really excited for all the news that's coming up this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd stop by Crossfire there, give you a little support, some TXR support there, and nice. You did very well on Crossfire, Crusader. Good job.
Thank you.
Anytime, brother. And last but certainly not least, Centurion. How you been, my friend?
Man, I've been doing pretty good. Haven't been able to game too much, been working way too much, but unless you've been canceling your Game Pass subscription and living on a steady balance of only AAA titles, there was a little bit of a game show and some game announcements this week, so I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. No doubt whatsoever on that. We have a lot to cover there, Centurion, as you said. There are quite a few showcases and streams and so on. So a lot of game talk to go over and some predictions. But you know what? Before getting into all that, just a quick reminder to everybody tuning in, whether it be the dedicated viewers and newcomers alike, that you can follow us on many other platforms. Lots of audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more, along with other video sharing sites such as Rumble. There's all kinds of options out there for you just to listen. And hey, you know what? Options are a good thing, as we always say, right? Now, as more people start falling into the chat here, you know what? Why, guys, don't we start off talking about some PlayStation stuff? And a few days ago, they had their latest State of Play stream. There were some familiar titles present, along with some new ones. Some pretty big ones, including a first look at Street Fighter 6. Now, Eric Shockley, bud, why don't we start off things with you here? Obviously, there were quite a few games showing off in a short period of time. Was there anything that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, definitely. I would say the one I'm definitely most hyped for was the Resident Evil 4 remake, getting that first look. That looks pretty sick. It's cool to see that they're going back to some of the VR support. Hopefully they kind of step that up from the Resident Evil 7 from for PSVR. I tried to get into that one, and it was great for a first bit, but ended up getting kind of sick because that performance was just not up to snuff back then. So hopefully this one's vastly improved. But the Callisto Protocol, I was happy to finally see actual first glimpse of that from the devs that made Dead Space, especially because they have to they're not not in the easy boat of being able to just do a 1-to-1 remake like EA is doing right now. They obviously have to come up with their whole new spin that's going to hopefully feel fresh, and the character models look interesting and different from what they had done in the past. So that one definitely looks awesome and creepy, and that one actually is coming out in December this year. So, you'll have a nice, horror game to get you by for a few months until March rolls around with Resident Evil 4. Also, I would say, yeah, Street Fighter was cool to see that it didn't get locked down again, because I think a lot of us were kind of just hesitant of wait, we know it's coming, obviously, because they announced it. But we didn't know, if are they locking down as a time exclusive? Is it pure exclusive again? Kind of like the last one. So it was good to see that come back to Xbox, and has a definitely cool new look to it. They're actually kind of finally going more realistic looking instead of kind of like what Mortal Kombat did, and leaving kind of the anime look behind. So that looks pretty interesting. So then the characters can have their own kind of fresh looking style and ethnically kind of look their actual part of what they're actually countries they're from. I'm trying to think of anything else other than I think Spider-Man it was cool to see that come to PC. So it'll be nice if just more and more PlayStation games keep coming to PC and more often or quicker, just to give us more options. Plus that would be cool to see a game if it gets some mod support with Spider-Man. That would be pretty sick. I'm sure they're gonna go crazy with that one. But I can't think of much else. I think those are probably my highlights. Other than it sucks that we gotta wait for a year or so. I don't know if it's a 2-year or 1-year deal for that Final Fantasy 16. That looked pretty sick, but I'm not sure on the parameter. I know it's at least a 1 year. I know Forspoken's 2 years, but I'm not sure if this if that deal is like 1 or 2 years.
I don't know if
other than that,
yeah, I don't know if they've been really open about that recently. I would say definitely over a year, anyways.
Yeah, they keep using the wrong term too, because they keep calling it. Because I remember they announced it and it was like coming to PC, and then they pulled that and said, and then like re-uploaded the trailer, so it no longer says and coming to PC. Because I think they're calling it like a console exclusive, but console exclusive usually means, hey, we can't just say exclusive because it's also coming to PC, so we have to say console exclusive. So it's kind of, I don't know if they know they're not using the right terminology, but I can't see that not coming to PC like day one. That's
I mean, 7 didn't. 7 remake took forever.
well, but yeah, 7 from the get-go, they're like, hey, this is timed until this date, and it might go to some other platform other than the PlayStation, which it did, other than them extending it after the fact. But you kind of knew that stuff up front. They put it like right on the box. I don't know. Well, obviously, that game's further out, but I guess we'll see. But it's weird that whoever messed up on that, I guess messed up on that first trailer, saying it, hey, it's also coming to PC. It probably is. They probably just don't want to say it too early. So, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I thought, like, for the amount of time that it was a pretty decent stream. You had, the Resident Evil 4 remake, which, from what I saw, looked pretty solid. Street Fighter 6, which, I was kind of wondering, like, what is this? I was actually kind of surprised it was Street Fighter, but it looked pretty decent.
Yeah, there was that make your own character.
Like, I wasn't too crazy about some of the character designs personally, but I mean, it's a different take, and I don't know, I thought it looked pretty decent overall. So
I am hopeful that with that Resident Evil 4 that they're using the same Leon from Resident Evil 2 remake. So I'm hopeful that means that maybe they're like, hey, we still have the new voice actor for Claire and that character model. Let's follow up and make Code Veronica remake, the one that probably needs it the most, because it was older than Resident Evil 4 and still needs, that remake. But
my take on the show was it was very good. It was actually good for PC. We detailed that with Spider-Man. It was actually very good for Xbox because they showed a lot of multiplats that are coming, and there was I would say more than a few Xbox, even like Xbox influencers were saying that Street Fighter 6 was not going to come to the platform. I was with a few guys. We were here. We said that it was coming because if you guys remember at the time there was a leaked report.
Yes.
And we had the platforms listed, and Xbox was one. And then people started getting DMCA'd. Which is basically suspended, or their account locked because they were posting that, was taken off the internet, and DMCA'd. So you kind of knew it was going to come, but I thought really it was good for Xbox to get that coming. Listen, I love the way the direction they're going. It looks like classic Street Fighter to me. It looks good. The animations, the way they punch and kick, look really fun and fluid. Yeah, man, that's a big game that Xbox got back here, and I think it's going to do well. And you think about it, you get the Series S in that game, you're set as a kid. You know what I mean? That's a big time game. Street Fighter was always a huge IP, and what they did with Street Fighter 5 was BS. It really was. It was a shrewd move by Sony, but it definitely affected the development. They had poor development. I felt the game released and it wasn't finished, and it suffered. And this type of fighter. It's best to be on all platforms. I think we could all agree. Even it's always been around, and hopefully they can cross-play on it. But yeah, huge that was announced for Xbox. As far as Sony, yeah, they announced a lot of good stuff that's coming. May not have been exclusive to their platform, but I think it was a very solid show. As they hit a lot of points. Even though, like I said, they were multi-platform. It's still really cool. That Callisto game, whatever that game is,
Mhm.
looks like Dead Space to me. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of potential there. Spider-Man to PC, logical. At this point, Sony should just release their games day and date on PC. It does not affect them, and it's going to make them a shit ton of money. The way they're going to go about it with the double dipping, I think is kind of cheesy. I don't think that they're going to do cross buy like Xbox, who's all about consumers and customers, and trying to give them good deals. That's just undeniable. We've had cross buy since the start of this whole thing. But I'm glad Sony's going that direction. I think that just makes sense. Um, but it was a good show for them, and I think that they're gonna have another announcement for God of War probably before the Xbox show, probably this week, Saturday, or something like that. I think it's going to be on Keegley's show. They're going to probably maybe show God of War again, and they're going to have some more artillery for this. The VR stuff. Listen, I think that with the VR stuff, it's never going to be huge like the way. Um, People envisioned it originally. It's gonna take a long time, but I think what they're getting to the point where PSVR, the original one, was. Listen, most of the games they look like shit, or they just look like half-assed. I think with the PSVR 2, you're basically now getting last generation type graphics, or that type of scale on on your VR set. Looks very good. It's appealing. Is it going to be the big home run hitter connect type device? No, it doesn't have to be. Um, but it's nice that they're doing the VR, in my opinion, and I have to give them credit for that. If you want VR, you can either do it on PC or in a little more affordable way. You probably could do it with Sony PS5 and the PS4 VR2. I'm personally happy Xbox is not using their developmental time, and they're just making straight up traditional games because that's what I really like. But I do think that there is enough space in the industry that we can have something where a company like Sony has PSVR. It does moderately well, and it gives us that option if we want to VR game. And I give the show a solid B plus, and I think they're going to have a little more announcements, like I said, and it sets up Xbox now to have a really big show.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't just like make the Oculus 2 like I know a lot of casual gamers are out there buying that just by word of mouth, like people that have consoles that I know that typically just don't play very many games throughout the year. They're out. My family, my stepdad's going out and buying a PSVR VR2, and he doesn't even play games these days. But that speaks to him. So there's a lot of casual market buying that one. So I'm surprised they don't just like, hey, we've teamed up with Oculus before. You could just use that Oculus with your Xbox, and then boom, all the people that already have one. I'm surprised they don't do that, but
I think that's something in the future that they've always had their eye on. And they have some type of relationship with Meta or the old Facebook. That Facebook Game Live Gaming, I believe, or Meta Gaming. But listen, I think that at the end of the day, that is a possibility. Maybe not this generation, but if VR really starts to kick off, I think it has to have a couple of things. I think you have to have a way of not being fully disclosed, meaning that you have to have a way of not taking you away from the world completely. So where you can have some availability to know if something's coming or if something happens. Uh, in a way, it's cool that you're taking off the grid, or as you say, you put that thing on your face and you know nothing other than what's going on. But there are some caveats that come with that. You know what I mean? Like if you have a kid or something like that, you can't put that thing on, and So there, and I think it has to be wireless, and that's the biggest thing. One's lightweight, wireless, and it has those aspects. Yeah, I do feel like it could really be that connect device, that huge hit. But other than that, it's just going to be a little niche thing, in my opinion, and that's okay. It's okay. They can maybe make some money off of it. But as of now, unless they get killer apps and stuff, you can't change my mind on it. And I think Microsoft has the right approach here, where it's wait and see. If it does come off, yeah, they can make a quick deal with Oculus, or even do something themselves, uh, then because the R&D of it is not as much as like building a system, I would think. You know what I mean? You have the console to power it, so it's something that they could get involved with. But as present day, I'm happy with Xbox's direction, and I appreciate Sony's direction and Meta's direction with it, that they give it to us and make it available.
I mean, I think, Tim, that it's a good thing that each company, each console experiments with their own different thing. It kind of makes them have their own identity and separate too. It gives them both plus and minuses, strengths and benefits. And if PlayStation wants to go that route with VR, that's fantastic. Xbox is doing its own thing as well, doing more probably more stronger on the service-based approach, cloud kind of thing, cloud gaming initiatives, whereas Sony's really going hard with tech. I think it would be interesting if Xbox, as somebody was saying, could partner up with maybe a Facebook Meta for gaming, with the Oculus, or even Valve with theirs too. That way it doesn't take much from their own initiatives, right?
What's so weird is they literally have with Valve and Hewlett Packard. They have the G2 Reverb, I think is what it's called. It was co-developed by HP, Microsoft, and Valve. They have the APIs for the Windows mixed reality. It's just so weird that they don't make those APIs compatible with the consoles.
Yeah, it's interesting too, especially when they were a couple of years ago going to they were saying some stuff about VR, and then they backpedaled or just didn't mention anything about it. It kind of disappeared. But I'll be honest though, as of right now, I'm just kind of happy that they're focusing on the more traditional gaming scene, because that's where they need to address things. And if things are going well, and we're seeing all these games being pumped out by all these studios that they just acquired, again, there's a lot of moving parts. Again, we don't know what kinds of things that they have in place right now, but I do think it would be wise just to get some things rolling on maybe the VR front, possibly. General MLD, Bud, obviously I know you're more of an Xbox guy, but did you catch any of the recent June State of Play? Got any thoughts on it?
Well, I caught the after reports. You watch all the bullet points. I watched some content creators do a pretty good job of describing what happened. Overall, though, obviously my interests are more Xbox related, so I'm looking at the multiplats. I'm a big horror fan. I played Resident Evil 4 at least 7 different times between the GameCube and Xbox 360, and I'm looking forward to that remake so much. I'm glad it's coming out sooner than what I anticipated, March, I think. So I'm looking forward to that. Callisto Protocol, the spiritual successor to Dead Space. Again, Dead Space, I played that game so many times. I played the trilogy so many times. I'm really looking forward to that. Seeing gameplay was a very nice touch. Seems like the developers, it was the team's ex-Visceral people, right?
I believe so, yeah. It was started up. Yeah.
They seem to not have missed a beat whatsoever. They're keeping that same atmosphere and feeling. So, and it's this December. Like, yes, thank you. So that's gonna be pretty amazing. Otherwise, I can only make a comment on the other stuff. Like, PlayStation had some VR2 kind of stuff shown. That's okay. Hey, I got nothing against VR. The fans are very passionate about it. Good for them. Personally, I'm glad that they're doing their approach and Xbox is doing their own approach. I personally think that, having lived through the Kinect era for Xbox 360, it was good for the market at the time. But I feel a lot of core gamers didn't like how the resources were used for making casual Kinect games rather than making more traditional gamepad based games. I think Xbox is in a position that we need as many traditional core games as possible. So I'm glad that, like for now anyway, they're sticking to what gamers are asking for, whereas PlayStation can't afford to do a side project like VR. So again, different strokes. It looks like each company is doing their own different things right now. So that's working out. But I think Spider-Man, Miles Morales coming to PC, that was a little bit funny because obviously there's always like the online arguments. The Xbox guys poke a little bit of fun. One by one, now all these PlayStation games are going to PC. They're losing their only on PlayStation exclusivity labels because they've been saying that about us since 2015. Like when Xbox games went to PC, people are on their side. They're laughing. Oh, you don't need an Xbox anymore. You can just game on the PC. And now the shoe is on the other foot. So it's kind of funny. It's good for the industry. It's good for PlayStation's business. But it's a little funny how PlayStation executives and I guess their hardcore gaming community don't really see eye to eye on this right now. They're slowly adapting to what PlayStation wants to do, but they're dragging themselves doing it. But overall, it was a good state of play. Usually these state of plays are like a little bit underwhelming, but they actually brought some heat here, like some high profile multi-plat games. So overall, it was a good show and a lot of stuff for us to be interested in. Again, like Callisto and Resident Evil 4. So those are my two highlights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think overall it's a very, it was good showing. Again, lots of good third party. Sorry, go ahead, whoever that was.
No.
Oh, sorry, I thought somebody was chiming in.
All good.
all right, good stuff. Centurion, my friend, I don't know if you got a chance to check it out or just check out the highlights of the June State of Play. Got any thoughts on it?
Man, what could I touch on when it hasn't already been touched on? I mean, it was definitely a PlayStation show. We all see the titles that PlayStation has had a lot of cooperation with in the past with like Capcom, games like Resident Evil, Final Fantasy even popped up. I know that's not Capcom, that's Square Enix. But it's it just felt like a PlayStation show to me. Am I going to say it's lackluster? No. I would have to be right there with Tim Dog that it was a good show. There was games there that interested me. I'm not going to sit here and nitpick on Sony. If I had anything constructive to say, I really hope that definitely Capcom does not make a history out of just remastering games. I really do want to see some creativity kind of flow out of them. I understand these remasters or remakes, whatever they may be, are definitely something we're all enjoying right now. Eventually you're going to run out of Resident Evil games to do this with. And I would really like to I really don't want to see Capcom kind of backing themselves into a corner per se. And I like how everybody touched on VR. We're starting to see a much more interesting take on VR. The games are a lot more, shall I say, in depth. There's a lot more to them, a lot more. I remember when like VR was just, hold on and go for a ride simulator. Now it's you're actually walking around fighting. Saw some really cool stuff with the Horizon Zero Dawn VR game that's coming out. But now that's one thing I want to at least say, like in the past, this is just how my mind works. Come on, in gaming, we have had people get out magnifying glasses and count blades of grass. We had people knock the resolution of the Xbox One because apparently somehow a game console at 900p was just a game, just took you out of the experience and you could not handle it. You needed that 1080p. but for some odd reason in VR, seeing a pair of floating hands does not take you out of the experience. That was a little bit interesting for me. I'm just like, so nobody's going to have anything to say about the just pair of random floating hands. I understand it's VR. I'm not criticizing the tech, but are we going to start like, where's all the people that gave crap to a console for not having good resolution? Because apparently that took them out of the experience. So I don't know. I'm just one of those people that always kind of see the curve on how somebody points out one thing and another. I want to see VR definitely get a much bigger push in the industry. And if the games that really stood out, don't ask me why, but what the hell is this cat game, Stray?
Oh, I want to play it so bad.
Dude, my wife was walking through the room as I'm watching State of Play, and that comes on, and she just freezes and just stands there and watches it with me.
Like, I don't know what to expect from it, but Lord, do I want to play it.
I know, you're just like, okay, is this cat just trapped in a world full of robots? Poor cat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I thought you would have something to say about the the kitty cat game. I know you have a soft spot for them, like I do. So
yeah, I'm crazy. I'm a crazy cat person. Whatever. Who doesn't like an animal with a shitty attitude sometimes?
Yeah, they got attitudes for sure. Oh man, I mean, Crusader, I'm pretty sure you can attest to that as well. So
yeah, I got 2 of them myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add to like your thoughts of the state of play? Like, it was okay overall, I think. Like, not the greatest, but like I thought it was an alright showing, mostly like third party, and I mean Xbox guys gotta be happy too. I mean, Street Fighter not being exclusive to PlayStation platforms this time around. I know that is pretty awesome.
Dude, that was pretty funny. Watching people on social media that forgot to read the advertisement before they posted it, and it's like down in the bottom of the photo it says Xbox, just to warn you.
Well, to be fair, it didn't say that in the showcase, which is something that's really annoying with all of these showcases, no matter if it's Nintendo, PlayStation, or Xbox. Like,
actually, I have seen Xbox put a PlayStation logo on their advertisements.
Sure, they'll do it sometimes, but a lot of the multiplats they won't. They'll do it with their own games when their own games are going to things, but they won't do it with the multiplats. It's really frustrating. Xbox is probably the best about it, but like, it's just like, you have to go back later and you have to look up all these trailers online and be like, all right, let's go to Capcom's actual page and see the very end of the actual trailer to find out what's actually happening.
Oh, and that's actually something that I've always watched on these game trailers. I've never agreed with it. It's borderline deceptive marketing. I understand that, you don't want to advertise for someone else's platform, but also at the same time, you're not supposed to actually go out and create confusion in the marketplace to actually confuse the customer. Sony is actually very notorious for making sure it's like rule 1, like if the game is with us, rule 1, you're not even allowed to admit that it goes on other consoles. We saw this with Destiny Cologne. So I mean, yeah. What were you saying?
Oh, no.
I thought I heard something.
No.
Sony has definitely been very aggressive with their marketing over the years. Look at with Red Dead Redemption 2. The big caveat that they were able to put on the box PlayStation exclusive, and in the fine print, this is a cosmetic item, but because they were able to finagle the word PlayStation exclusive onto the box, people thought the game was actually exclusive to PlayStation because the game was being marketed through PlayStation, and a majority of the ads for Red Dead Redemption 2 did not show an Xbox ad.
Their marketing is sometimes borderline legal. I mean, let me put it this way. When Xbox does a showcase, they make it pretty clear if it's a multiplat. They say like world premiere or something like that, which means that it's not exclusive. If it's exclusive, they say it is. So there's no confusion. But it seems to me every time Sony does a conference, gamers always seem to be asking a developer, clarifying online, doing some kind of digging or homework to see if these are actually multiplat or if they're actually exclusive. If you have to do that with only one and not the other, you know that there's a clear pattern at play here. and they keep getting away with it. And part of me just thinks Xbox should just do the same thing. If Sony can get away with it, Xbox should do the same thing. Because gamers like us, like we're core gamers, we're plugged in. We know the news as it happens. Like I saw the Callisto trailer online, and at the end, of course, you only see the PlayStation logos. Who's to say a casual gamer who, again, isn't like us, isn't always plugged in? Who's to say that those guys watch that trailer and they believe what they see, that there's no Xbox logo, and they think that Callisto or Resident Evil is only on PlayStation, being an exclusive, because of the very subtle marketing things that they do. I think that's what Sony's counting on, because again, the guys like us who research this stuff, we are a minority. Based on all the casuals, they might actually be fooled by that. That's my take on that.
I think listen, when you saw what they did with Destiny, and you see the way they do their marketing deals, Sony, and you made an excellent point, MLD. You said that Xbox does the world premiere. Now, when we see world premiere, we know right off the bat it's not exclusive, because when they show their exclusives, they say Windows whatever they say. They mention it's an exclusive or a console exclusive. So very smart of you to point that out, and it's very true. But Sony, for all hell, they do that on purpose. And even Jeff Keighley, who I'm a fan of, he put that out, and he didn't put the platforms on it because of the way Sony's doing it. Listen, that's, to me, you got to be better than that. You can't be deceptive and outwardly deceptive and try to prey on these casuals. Because, are people like me and you and everyone on this panel going to straighten the situation out? Yes, but that's after the fact. And that's after the fact that casual that isn't on Twitter and doesn't care about this stuff just watched the PlayStation event or state of play and said, "Oh my God, these games are only coming to PlayStation." I can't tell you how many people thought Destiny was exclusive when they pulled that shit. When they did what they did, they couldn't say this. They took the art of deception and they times it by 10 with the way they've done these marketing deals. And the sad thing is that when Xbox, if Xbox does try to do it the same way, or there's any type of question that it will be multi-plat, you have these. I hate to say it, the media and everyone starts to put the full court press on Xbox. You saw them put the full court press on Xbox with Tomb Raider, if everyone and two Xboxes.
Still to this day, only game that exclusivity was apologized for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was because of the constant questions, the constant, this and that. Now, it's like Sony can get away with it. They've done it with Final Fantasy VII. They've done it with Final Fantasy 16. When Xbox does something like that, this thread started on Reset Arrow, NeoGAF at the time, and they get to the bottom of it really quickly and or go crazy and say, they're money hatting this and it's not okay. It's a big deal. I mean, even Starfield, something that they owned, people would not stop, and I kind of find it bullshit because here you have now Final Fantasy 16 Forbidden or for what was the game that you guys said, the 2-year exclusive, Forspoken, and like that's okay, and nobody in the media questions it. Nobody's asking any of the executives about it. But when Starfield's doing this, everyone and their mother's asking about that after they ask about Scalebound. I mean, it just annoys the hell out of me how they have two sets of different, ways of going about it. And for sure, Sony's trying to be deceptive of doing it, and they've done it for a long time. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of don't like Sony, is because they do shit like that, and they get away with it. And like somebody on the panel said, like maybe Xbox should do the same thing. Yeah, I agree. They should because this is the way it is. But the difference is that if Xbox does, you have situations like Starfield, you have situations like Tomb Raider, where for some odd reason, it's not okay for Xbox to do something like that, but it's okay for Sony, and we all know it's true.
Hmm. Well, we all know that, especially with certain sites too, that they have their favorites when it comes to the consoles, right? And PlayStation's always been a darling for the most part with certain members of the media. So, it's pretty glaring at some points. But either way, guys. I mean, I thought it was an all right show overall. I mean, they could have had some more first party. That I think that's pretty glaring. But at the same time, overall, some pretty good third party gameplay and so on and reveals. Moving on to the chat here, we have Italian Clowns with the $5 super chat, and he asks, will anyone from TXR be at the Fan Fest in LA? Well, none of us are from the LA area, which is unfortunate. No, I won't be going. I can't make it, unfortunately. Tim, you're not going, are you?
No, I would have went. I was invited. But I spoke to this pre-show. My daughter has a Sweet 16 the week of, and unfortunately, if I go to LA and something happens, like I need to get a hemming or whatever, my suit comes in because I'm renting my suit. Basically that week I have to have all hands on deck for my daughter. I entertained it for maybe a day, and I kind of realized that it would be kind of selfish of me to do that. And I'll be there next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I hope to as well, as I'm sure many others on the panel. It'd be great to get together and have a good time, and return to normal things, right? Normality, to say the least. Have a great big party with all the hardcore gaming fans, all the Xbox faithful, and so on. Yeah, just be a great time. Oh man, I can't wait for that. But yeah, everyone. We'll move on to our next topic. But to everyone tuning in, thank you for being here. And if you haven't done so already, smash that like button and share out the show to let everybody else know that we are live currently. Okay, let's move on over to some other things then, shall we? Earlier this week, we had the Warhammer Skulls event. It celebrated games across the Games Workshop brand spectrum of Warhammer Fantasy and 40K. Xbox was also a big partner during this event. We got updates on Darktide as well as some new stuff. I mean, you know what? I'm a huge Warhammer guy. And you know what? To this day, I'm starting up playing again. I played when I was a teen and so on, and always followed over the years. You could say I'm kind of a dork when it comes to Warhammer. I know my stuff, especially with 40K. But Centurion, why don't you lead us on this topic? What did you think of the announcements? Did anything catch your eye at all?
Oh man, well, for starters, Invader, I'm very honored and feel humbled that you would let me even lead off on this conversation, considering the pedigree that you actually have in the Warhammer universe. You introduced me to the Warhammer universe with Vermintide. Well, a long time ago, I got exposed to Space Marine 2. Not Space Marine 2, the original Space Marine. And that's where on the Xbox 360, and I was able to play it for like an hour or two. I put it down. I don't realize what happened, but I never picked it back up again. But I really wish I would have actually finished playing it. It was a very unique game. And when I decided you told me about Vermintide 2, and we started playing that, and I had no idea that the two universes were somehow connected. And now to find out that they're making a Space Marine 2, I really hope they remaster the original Space Marine, or at least they already have, and that they put it on the Xbox or even current gen consoles. It's on PC right now. There's an Ultimate Edition. I would really love for that to be ported over on console. But when it came to the actual Skulls event, this is what I think is really cool. This is my first time I ever watched one of these events. And to actually see that this is a very large franchise. We're talking books. Do they have cartoons and television shows, or is that all just gaming? need to
They do have a bunch of that actually that launched into their I think it's Warhammer Plus service. So they do have like a bunch of like anime and cartoons and stuff like that and CGI.
Dude, the only reason why I bring this all up is because I've been playing Elder Scrolls for years. Yes, there is a large Elder Scrolls community, and there is there is a huge like world for Elder Scrolls. And you would not think that the world for Warhammer is just as big and just as thriving. I thought it was really cool to see, I guess, the Warhammer Museum or whatever they have with all those figurines and the lore masters and stuff like that. It was a very unique introduction to Warhammer for me. I'm more excited now about wanting to get into the franchise. I picked up Necrom Hired Gun. And then there's also a couple games that have been given away over the years through Games with Gold. I think Inquisitor and Chaos Bane. Obviously, you got me in the Vermintide too. So I actually want to start digging into this Warhammer universe and start checking it out because it looks really cool from what the Skulls show at least showed me. But one thing I want to point out when it comes to the show structure is one thing I want to give them and applaud them for is they don't have to save it for at the very end of the show, but they did. But they at least let you know that they were switching over to an event that was for mobile games only. And at this point, if you wanted to tune out, go for it. And at least it wasn't like it was just like forced into the entire event and like invading all the other stuff you were interested in. It was like, hey, they even gave you a message. This is going to be the mobile portion of the show. So if you're done, then, you know, you're done. You're not going to want to watch what's next. And that's what I thought was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, to answer your question, Centurion, as far as the lore goes with Warhammer, I mean, whether it be the fantasy aspect or like 40,000 in particular, that's the one I was always more focused on. One like battle alone that's like you could go like you can make an anthology out of like the battles that they have because you're talking about like everything is on a grand scale. Everything is dark and gritty and you're dealing with like battles that have like millions upon millions of people battling it out and aliens and so on. It's crazy.
Hey, let's start something controversial right here on the show because we all know like how I do. Everybody get your clipping ready. Would you say that Warhammer is older than Halo?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay.
Isn't it in the 80s?
I'm pretty sure.
What I thought was really cool was the description of the Space Marine when they started giving the description of when he started giving the actual description of what a Space Marine really looks like in real life. And when they were talking about like, you know, most people in the Warhammer universe and Warhammer 40,000 go their entire lives without ever encountering a Space Marine because they're almost like the unicorn protectors of the galaxy. And when you hear that they stand almost 2.5 meters tall and they weigh 500 pounds before they even put their armor on, it almost sounds like a Spartan.
Well, as far as I know, I think it goes back like Warhammer 40K to 1987, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, that makes sense. Kind of, around when, like, Aliens 2 would have been released, something like that. So, which was a big inspiration for Halo. So,
and that's what I thought was really cool was when you heard the description. I'm just really hoping with at least Space Marine 2, it was good to see, at least in the show, that the Warhammer developer is a very flexible developer. They are all over the place. I think they've got ADD worse than I do when it comes to just how many different games they're making and how many different genres of the Warhammer universe they're trying to introduce to everybody. And that was just really cool. And I would really like to see this whole developer really get some stardom shown on them with what they're doing with Space Marine 2, because I mean it looks absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. I know it's all CG, but I mean, like, if they're doing that with CG, I really can only look forward to what the actual game is going to look like.
Oh, it's gonna look awesome. I mean, the first one, the original Space Marine dealt with the orcs, and yeah, I mean, it was a little dark at times, but it had some decent lighting, and you had a lot of enemies on screen at once as well. So either way, like you were always busy focusing on the combat regardless. Space Marine 2 is looking. Yeah, it's definitely more of a looker because of the improved lighting, and it looks like they're putting in more foliage and so on amongst the ruins. And you're also dealing with another horde-like enemy called the Tyranids. They're nasty bugs. Like, think of anybody seen Starship Troopers? That those kinds of guys, pretty
The
much.
arachnids.
Yeah.
I was thinking the Zerg from StarCraft myself.
Them too. Yeah, them too. Yeah. Yeah, like combo.
It is nice too to see all these like these smaller developers you're not realizing actually starting to implement motion capture animation, like the digital mapping of the human face and the actors that are portraying them. And I really think that this is actually going to give them an edge when it comes to the games that they're going to develop in the future.
Yeah. And again, they got games for different genres. Of course, you mentioned Dark Tide, which is like again a futuristic spin on Vermintide, which I'm really excited to give that a go when it launches in I think it's September 13th, something like that.
September, yeah.
And it launches day one into Game Pass, guys. So there's no reason for you guys not to check it out. It's a 4-player co-op game. It's probably gonna be lots of fun. I can almost guarantee it, and I'm certainly gonna bug a lot of guys on the panel to play it. So no excuses, fellas. There's also there's a couple of standouts for me too from this. Warhammer 40k, Shoot as Loot as in Teeth. It's based on the orcs as a side-scrolling action game. It's very reminiscent of, I don't know if you guys played Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. I think it's made by the same dev. I mean, to me, it seems like it anyways. I have to look more into it, but it has like a lot of comedy into it. The orcs are kind of... they're kind of humorous. They don't really take themselves too seriously. Let's just put it like that. So it's going to be even though it's an action-oriented game, there's going to be a lot of silly comedic things in there as well. Space Marine 2, like we were saying, it looks like the devs are putting a lot of effort into it. I'm pretty stoked for that title. Hopefully, it looks like it's going to come out next year, but I would love to see that on Game Pass day one personally. I don't know if you guys noticed too, but there's a lot of Warhammer games that have entered Game Pass, from Vermintide, Total War, Warhammer 3, I think, is on the PC Game Pass. Dark Tide's going in there. Battle Sector, I think.
I think they just dumped a lot of the Warhammer games in PC Game Pass. I mean, there was a Warhammer PC Game Pass advertisement during the Skulls show showing some of the classic games that they're dumping into PC Game Pass. So that's why I said, man, you know, if you're canceling your Game Pass subscriptions, you know, regretfully, you're kind of missing out because there's a lot more there. And as we could see here, just right here during the Skulls event, Warhammer put in a lot of great games, a lot of gaming history that people are going to potentially miss out on unless they get that Game Pass subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know one thing, that they have a very good relationship with Xbox, and I do believe Xbox actually was in the running to purchase them. I do think they got purchased by somebody though. The maker of Warhammer. Forgot the name of the
Games
studio.
Workshop. Games Workshop is the company that makes the tabletop.
Yeah, that's
and
correct.
they license the IP to literally everyone and their mother who will make a game
Right.
for it. That's why you have ranges of like this game is excellent, like on the Vermintide side, to the game is not as good. I can't think of one of them off the top of my head, but there's quite a few that are like, nah.
Oh, they've been shit
yeah.
back in the day, believe me.
Yeah, like, but I think Games Workshop is still independently owned. Yeah.
No, I mean I forgot the name of it. I think it's maybe the one that made. Trying to think. I'm thinking of.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Fat Shark, the maker of Vermintide and Dark Tide. Didn't Tencent get a portion of them?
Yes, Xbox was looking to buy them at one point, or they were in serious talk, so I heard. Um, but yeah, I think overall, Warhammer it's just another advantage of Game Pass. To think, the stupidity last week. I don't know if you guys had on the show about Game Pass and how people were saying, "Oh, I'm canceling because Starfield is not is delayed," and all that clout bullshit that went on, But what you get with Game Pass is more than just the games too. You get well, it is all about the games, but you get subscription to EA Access, and
Yeah.
those games you get the discounts. You get PC gaming, Xbox. You get both of them intertwined, so you get two platforms. You get the cloud, free of charge. There's so many things that go along with it. It's definitely a great deal. I thought that was pretty much overblown, but um, yeah, overall, it's good that Xbox has these. We all have PCs, and some of them, for the most part. I don't know how many gaming rigs people have. I have one, but it's nice that I can play that game when it comes out on PC on Game Pass.
Yeah. No, I mean, and you hit the nail on the head there, Tim. Like, again, Game Pass gives you the option to, again, test out these titles. I would recommend them personally, especially, you know, Crusader was right when he said, basically Games Workshop has licensed them out to anybody and anybody. But at the same time, in recent years, they've been doing a lot of they've been putting out some decent titles from Space Marine. The gameplay I have up actually right now is for Necromunda Hired Gun. Would I say it's the greatest game out there? No, but I tell you, if you're looking for like a Doom Eternal clone, I would say it's up there. The gameplay is pretty good. So
Half off right now too on Xbox.
yeah, that's correct. They have a sale up right now for a bunch of Warhammer games. But honestly, there's so much good from this Warhammer showcase that I saw, including Bolt Gun, this retro first-person shooter game, similar, it's kind of akin to Doom. I just thought it looked great. I've been really over the past few years, I've been really into these retro shooters, like Ion Fury and so on, and it's just really up my alley. So I'm glad that they're experimenting with the IP and giving it to different talented devs, because we're seeing a lot of good being done with this IP. I'm really happy to see it. Eric, I'm just out of curiosity. What do you think of this? Are you interested in any of these titles, these Warhammer titles, or is it just you're concentrated on other things?
Yeah, I was definitely I always wanted to get into it as a kid, because we had one of those workshops by where I lived, and the Warhammer aesthetic always looked cool to me in the mid 90s. But since they were expensive back then and all those models, I never got into it much, other than looking at magazines of oh, these look really cool. But I was hyped when they showed the trailer for the Warhammer, I think Dark Tide, that was coming. So it kind of piqued my interest with that kind of aesthetic. So I'm definitely hopeful. Was there any recent update of when the release date was?
September. I think it's 13th.
This September, yeah, for Dark Tide.
September, okay. Because I think that one's gotten delayed maybe a few times. But yeah, I'm definitely hyped, to see how that turns out. So it will definitely be my first Warhammer game. Some of the Vermintide games look pretty good from what I saw ACG going through. I think it was ACG going through a playthrough of them. So might check those out one day. But the Dark Tide.
Shock. Me and Scent gotta get you going on the Vermintide, man. It's a fun ride. It's fun, certainly.
Oh yeah. But yeah, this Dark Tide's definitely more my alley as far as that whole aesthetic looked really cool. So but yeah, is that did they mention, I can't remember because it's been so long, would that be Game Pass?
Yeah.
Game Pass day one,
cool. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have some if that drops Game Pass day one, that'll be because did they say that one was a timed exclusive?
We don't
Yes,
know.
actually,
Console.
it is a game. It is exclusive, actually. Yeah, as for
Yeah,
the time being.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't know if it's timed or not. That's one of the
Probably timed,
few of the like recent ones that didn't show up
Mhm.
in the Apple versus Epic case.
Oh, okay.
So we don't know whether it's listed as timed or full.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, that'll be a nice one, especially if we can get Deathloop right around that time of the year, and hopefully they have something up their sleeve at this show next Sunday. So
if it plays even half as well as Vermintide, like honestly, they should lock it down as a full exclusive. Honest to God, like because Vermintide, the gameplay is just so on point, and it's just.
Game Vermintide.
What was that, Tim?
I loved Vermintide, but it's not for the novice player. It's very hard. I felt like after you get past the first couple of waves and you get really involved. It's you got to play with smart teammates and you got to play smart.
Agreed. MLD, bud. I mean, are you interested in any like is Darktide up your alley? You think, or any of these other titles a little more your thing?
Actually, I think Space Marine 2 looks great. Darktide looks great. I'm familiar with Warhammer like almost my whole life, but I never really got into it. I always assumed it was like really hardcore, really deep, because I know they have a tabletop scene going on for the longest time. I've always been interested in the future aspect because back in the day I played a lot of StarCraft. Obviously, Halo's one of my favorite IPs. I love that whole thing going on. Not so much the fantasy variants of it, but more like I'm more interested in like the Space Marine. Like they got this like Holy Crusader kind of vibe with these Space Marines kind of thing. The strategy games look good, but I don't play as much real-time strategy as I used to. But Space Marine 2, I've seen the trailers. Wow, the latest one anyway. Like I think what really is drawing me in right now and really makes me want to get into this franchise for like the first time, like to really get into it, is that these developers for Space Marine 2, they're really paying attention to the lore. Like they are very specific. They're going to by the books, what the fans want. They're being very lore accurate with these games, and that to me is like a breath of fresh air that I just feel compelled to want to support, because I think we can all think of examples, far too many beloved IPs. Some of them maybe developers say, oh, we want to reach a broader audience, or we want to make things more wide-reaching. So maybe things like the lore are disregarded. Hey, look at the Halo TV show. Some compromises were made to reach a broader audience, much to the polarizing dismay of the actual Halo core fans. So, seeing a developer actually making a game, not concerned about that broader audience and focusing on the core fans, and hoping that it works itself out from there. Once you do the core fans first, everything else will fall into place. That's really striking a chord with me. I think I'm going to get into 40K right now. So Space Marine 2 looks good. Gameplay looks solid. Even Darktide. I mean, I saw the trailer for that. That looks pretty amazing too. It really seems like a vast universe to look into. And yeah, I mean, you guys seem to be a lot more knowledgeable, especially you, Invader. But I think I'll be asking you for some questions down the line. I think I'm going to finally jump into this. It seems Xbox is really taking a shine to this IP. I think some Warhammer games went on PC Game Pass lately, and of course they got the Darktide. Whether or not it's exclusive, I mean, clearly Xbox is putting their bets on Warhammer to a degree. And I think I'll take a look at this. I'm really excited for Darktide first and Space Marine 2 after.
Now, do you have a 360 still kicking around?
Yes, I do.
I would highly suggest grabbing Space Marine on the 360 if you ever see it on sale or something, because it's totally worth playing. It's not it's a third-person shooter. It's not like Gears of War because they don't really use cover, but the gameplay is really solid. So, and the story is interesting. So.
Okay, you think it's aged the gameplay aged well?
Yeah, it's aged pretty well. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And believe
to
me,
know.
the close combat is very visceral. There's blood everywhere. It's like Gears in that way.
All
So,
right. Good to know. Good to know.
yeah, it's good.
You can get it digitally right now on 360.
Okay, but it's not
Yeah.
backwards compatible.
It's not.
No.
What are you gonna do? That's okay.
Yeah, truth. Well, I mean, in any... Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, in any case, guys, I mean, the Warhammer IP's, like, honestly, it's very viable, and you can do all kinds of things with it. That's why I'm excited when I saw this showcase, and the games look good, and they're across a broad range of spectrums that I think a lot of people would be very happy with, and what's coming to console is looking really sweet. I can't wait until September for Darktide. And hey, if anybody wants to play when it comes out, send me an invite. I'll be more than happy to, believe me. And for those of you wondering, I'm a Tau player, by the way, for 40K. So yes, I'm a dirty Tau player. I like my my big guns, to say the least. You know, it's fun having all that firepower. For any of those who understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, guys, enough of the Warhammer chat, though, as much as I could dig into it for hours. But I think now it's time for the real fun stuff, and let's talk about our predictions for the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase next Sunday. Yes, it's only a week away now. Hard to believe after waiting for so long. But so far, Xbox has been pretty tight-lipped as far as leaks go. However, it looks like some things were starting to pop up today. Now, I know that everyone here wants to chime in on this. We all have our thoughts, our own predictions. But Timmy, I'll start off with you on this one here. With less than a week away, what do you think Xbox will show off?
I think you need a lot of gameplay. So something that we've been asking for, and I think you're going to finally get it. I think that they're going to open the show. I'm kind of versed in this because I did a show earlier, a prediction show. So I'm going to basically reiterate what I said there. I think they're going to open with Starfield. They're going to show gameplay. I think that then from there, they're going to show Forza. They're going to date it this year. They're going to show gameplay. They're going to talk about it. Then I think that they might show Forza Horizon expansion, gameplay. Obviously, we've seen the game already. Then you will see Redfall. I think they're going to transition to Redfall, have gameplay. Then I think that they're going to start to talk about Game Pass, and you're going to have Final Fantasy VII day one on Game Pass. I agree with Rand's prediction on there. It's going to come to the platform. They're also going to say that they're going to have Persona 5 come to the platform. Then they're also going to say that they have GoldenEye, the game GoldenEye, the Nintendo game, that the achievements leaked. That's coming to Game Pass. So for the most part, you're going to have all of that. And then I do believe that they'll show gameplay for Avowed, and I think they're going to close the show on Avowed. There's just several ways of going around that they could close the show on Starfield. And maybe a sprinkle little surprise there. I think they're going to have a really good show. I think that they're still modifying it, adding the final touches as we speak. They still haven't talked about locking down a time. Aaron Greenberg tweeted that today. That just basically goes to show you that they're still looking into things. I think it's going to be a lot of Game Pass stuff. We will be happy. Maybe get a Game Pass day one announcement for other than Final Fantasy VII, maybe a third party. I think you're gonna look forward to it. And I think we're gonna have a lot of questions answered. I don't think we'll get dates for Redfall and Starfield, but it's possible we might. You probably see Contraband, or you might see something to mention to it. You might also see the IO interactive game that's been teased. You'll see Josh Sawyer's game for sure from Obsidian. Will Obsidian show. I think they're going to show Avowed. Outer Worlds 2, I think, will be another day. But yeah, you're going to have a really strong showing. A couple of things that you probably won't see: Fable, Indiana Jones, State of Decay 3. Um,
What about,
uh,
I don't know, have you heard anything about Ark by chance? Ark 2?
To be there.
Yeah, I think Arkham will be there. I heard it's a year exclusive. Um, they're going to talk a lot about indies. This game, Dusk game, is supposedly really good. Somerset. They have that game that's coming day one. I forgot the name of it. But yeah, they're gonna have a strong indie showcase. From what I've been told, that they want to have the same pace that they had last year. They don't want these things that interrupt the show. Like, you guys always remember the Usher show when Usher came on, or when they had these like weird stoppages, or they talked about one year they talked about like they just had these things that just kind of you know hurt the flow of the show. I really believe, talking to people from Xbox and just putting my ear to the ground, I really believe that they've become enlightened, or they've learned a lot from Bethesda. Uh, if you guys remember, Bethesda always ran a really good show, and they always delivered on their shows. So now this is now in Xbox's camp. I really think that the people at Xbox have learned a lot from Peter Hines and their people. And part of that is to keep a real steady flow of good stuff. None of these breaks that hurt the flow of the show, or stuff that's irrelevant. I think you'll see they'll talk about Deathloop, and possibly Deathloop being a test bed for FSR. That's that technology that basically uses super resolution. You can use the resolution, and it gives you much better results than what you're displaying. So, say you're running a 1192 resolution, just to say internally. With FSR, it looks as good as 4K, if not better in some cases. It's some really awesome technology. So I think Deathloop might showcase that. And obviously, you'll get a Game Pass date. I think we're going to have a real solid day. I think people are going to come out of the show very happy. Obviously, you have people with their complaints. That's never going to go away. Um, but I think the real thing about the show is Starfield. If they can pull off what they did with Fallout 4 and the way they showed out Fallout 4, I can remember being in the hotel in LA watching with Will Tuttle and a couple of other people from Xbox. We watched the Bethesda showcase, and everyone was like, "Oh my God!" when Fallout 4 hit, and they showed it, and you saw him out in the field. I think that they're going to have one of those moments. Very confident going into the show. I don't see how they can really screw this up. This is not the days of 4 studios. They now have 23 studios with acquisition of Activision, if that gets approved. 34 studios, 50 projects supposedly in process or in development. Um, there's going to be some. The biggest thing for me to make it a really good show is to have that surprise. And then people will say, "Well, what's the surprise?" I can't tell you what a surprise is, but you and I both know that if they do that surprise, that where everyone's like comes out of left field, like, "Oh man, they did it." That's a real indicator of a good show. Also, a shadow drop, and the shadow drop predicting is Final Fantasy VII possibly coming out that day. That is always a big thing, and they're hard to pull off. Those two things are hard to pull off. So that's from it going from a good show to, a really good show and a superb showing. Is if they can get you that surprise and they can get a shadow drop. So basically, that's my roundup. I don't think that we're gonna come back here next Sunday and be upset. I think we're gonna be very positive, and who knows? They could still add some stuff this week. I know, they take this stuff very seriously now, and they've taken our feedback very seriously. Last feedback was what we all wanted gameplay. And finally, I'm hoping to see some stuff from Halo. I'm hoping to see maybe an update. Maybe they give us an update on ray tracing, and/or Forge coming. I think that would be two huge things. But yeah, this is going to be good. We have all the right to be excited. Can't wait to hear the rest of the panel's predictions.
Yeah, I think you're right on the Halo thing. I think there will be something showing off. I'm just not sure what it could be. Maybe certain affinities, Project Tatanka, the BR mode supposedly that's in the works. There's been all kinds of leaks recently about it resurfacing. Or just, yeah, Forge and a whole bunch of content coming up, because I do think that they need to do something about that. Just kind of do almost like a showcase in itself for Halo. And even I know that they trademarked the Endless. I get the story expansion months ago. Maybe we could see something related to that. Of course, again, I would just love to see some more Halo stuff overall. But I think you're right on the Forge aspect of it. I will hit up General MLD, buddy. I mean, I know you got a lot of stuff that you want to see there, but what do you think will appear in this 2-hour show, something like that?
Oh yeah, the fact that they still haven't locked down an exact runtime is very, very good news for me. I'm sure a lot of fans. I feel like 90 minutes just might be a little too short for what they want to show this time around. Of course, people want to see Starfield, and I don't think a 2-minute trailer would cut it. You gotta do a little more than that. I think we'll be impressed with what we see. And then, of course, you got Redfall. Gonna see finally something like that, a little more fleshed out, a little further along in development. I think we'll see Forza Motorsport 8. It's been 5 years. It's time to pull back the curtain, see what Turn 10's been up to. They really seem to overhaul the engine and really double down on on really more sim aspects, make it more precise. Let's see, Compulsion. They've been silent for way too long. I think they'll finally show their new IP. I think we'll get some usual stuff like the for lack of a better word, not as exciting things like Forza Horizon 5 DLC. Things like that we kind of expect. World's Edge, Age of Empires 4 console, maybe that was kind of rumored, but also Rise of Nations, yes, because we saw that on the Xbox store.
Well, it keeps popping up.
I know, right? They've released one game every year since 2018. They remade Age of Empires 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the last 4 years. So they're pretty low-key consistent with game releases. I think they'll surprise us again this year. Grounded. Yes, that game's been in early access for a while. They keep releasing all these content updates. I feel like it's going to be complete this year. We could finally count it as a fully released game this year. It really depends if they're going to shadow drop it. Will they announce it later in the summer? I think that game will finally be finished. I think we'll see a gameplay sequences for Avowed. That is low key. I think that game has the most potential. Not enough people are talking about it. It's next generation Skyrim made by Obsidian. Yes, please sign me up. The fact that there's no gameplay yet. Again, people are sleeping on it, but once they show that, the fact that it'll make the wait for Elder Scrolls 6 so much easier if this game is everything we hope it to be. With Obsidian really unleashed with a proper Xbox Microsoft budget to really do what they want to do. So Hellblade 2 gameplay, I'm hoping for that, but I'm not convinced we'll see that, but I'm hoping Hellblade 2 also shows gameplay. Then there's the Gears collection, Marcus Phoenix collection. I hope they do the same thing like the MCC, but of course launch it properly, make it smooth. That should be nice. Now the wild cards, this could be anybody's thing. I mean, Final Fantasy VII was mentioned. I'm interested by those Fallout 3 new Vegas remasters. That should be very, very, very nice, especially if that's on Game Pass. Should be a nice little boost there, something to play there. Halo Infinite, I'm hoping they'll give us a sneak peek at Forge. Like if that is as ambitious as the leaks are suggesting, I think that would cause a lot of hype and a lot of resurgence and interest for Halo Infinite later in the year. id Software, there's rumors of them maybe bringing back Quake or even making something new with Doom. Who knows? But I think id Software is due for a reveal. Probably not gameplay, maybe a CG trailer, but again, that's fine. As long as there's enough gameplay to go around, I think they can get away with a few CG trailers of games that are like years away. I mean, in my opinion, if it's coming out sooner, show gameplay. If it's recently announced and years away, I think you can get away with CG trailers. As long as you have a nice mixture of both. GoldenEye, those achievements, they're popping up again. I'm hoping that Shadow Drop should be a nice little surprise, some fan service there. Machine Games, there's that will they or won't they, like making Wolfenstein 3. No one seems to know if they're making it, if it's even a thing or not. I'm hoping that will give us some clarification if they're doing that, or if they're putting all their eggs in the Indiana Jones basket, so to speak. ZeniMax Online, they've been quiet way too long. Sure, they're making Elder Scrolls Online content, but it's a very old game at this point. I think they're due for like something new, and we know they're working on something. So I'm hoping that they show something there. There's talks of a Banjo-Kazooie remake. Test the waters, see how the fans, gamers of today, see the IP. Hopefully, if it does well, we can have a proper sequel. So I mean, who knows? Xbox Publishing, they're a giant wild card. Serendipity, IOI Interactive with that fantasy title. There is so many things that, and I'm sure there's a lot of things I haven't even mentioned yet. Like 90 minutes is a criminally low time to do all of this stuff. I think they know that. And the good thing about Xbox executives is that they know how to read the room. They pay attention to the social media feeds. They see the Twitter conversations. They know that we're a little bit bummed out with Starfield and Redfall being delayed. They know that the hype is like a little bit down right now. They know they need to really hit back hard this year. They've been acquiring studios since 2018. They went from 5 to 30 developers now, assuming Activision Blizzard goes through in the span of 4 years. So for the last 4 years, they've been building up to this moment. Like, it's finally time to see the fruits of the labor. Even if they're like not out yet, they're close, I feel like. And it's time that they actually show and tell, essentially. And I think they know that, and I think we're going to be blown away.
Mm-hmm. Damn, you went nonstop there listing off things. Ooh, take a breath, man. Settle down.
Yeah,
no, love the passion, though. I mean, that's a lot of games, and a lot of the stuff you listed was first party, no less, right? So I can only imagine what the third party titles could be. Or
I'm sure we'll get a couple world premieres here and there. That's to be expected too. But obviously, we're all Xbox fans here. Well, we come for the first party first and foremost. So that's my wish list. I think they'll deliver overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth with some of these games that you mentioned off. I would love there to be a Banjo-Kazooie, like 1 and 2 remake. I know that there's been some talk of Double Fine possibly doing it. I don't know if they would get them specifically, but damn, I would just love to see, again, something Banjo-Kazooie making its way to Xbox, considering Nintendo has gotten some some Banjo-Kazooie stuff over the past couple of years. I think it's time to give the Xbox guys something, since you guys have the IP. Let's see here. Crusader, bud, I will hit you up next for your Xbox Bethesda show predictions. I know you have the giant threads going.
It's open.
Right?
It is currently open right here. All right, so I'm going to try and not tread over stuff that other people have said too much. I am going to start with 343, though. Jez and Rand have stated they don't think Halo's going to be there at all. They don't think 343 is going to be there at all. I think that they are going to reveal Project Tatanka, and I think we might even get an open beta for it. I think it would tie in perfectly to this whole season of the what is it called? The season of Lone Wolves? That's the season we're in right now, right?
Lone Wolves, yeah.
Right. So if you're going to have a Warzone 2.0 that's also like a Battle Royale kind of thing, it would be the perfect time to kind of launch like a little open beta for it. And they can show that off for a few minutes and then transition that into a Forge, since it's supposed to tie like in with Forge really well, and they can demo Forge to the fans for the first time. And then I think it'll end with a teaser for like I want to say like a cinema. I don't want to say CG. I want to say cinematic trailer that kind of teases the Halo the Endless
Yes.
that was trademarked. Because I've been of the opinion that Halo Infinite's going to be like a Halo MCC from the ground up. So instead of it being a bunch of old games that they've put together, it's essentially going to be campaigns that are stapled onto each other with like shared assets, and they all share assets with multiplayer and stuff like that. So by the end of its life cycle, it will resemble MCC, but it is basically MCC being built. Does that make sense? Does that concept make sense? So I think we get a teaser for whatever the Endless is. At the very least, we get a teaser for that. Let's see, the Coalition. We said the Gears collection. I don't know if that's being made by the Coalition or not. I think that now. I do want to ask Tim a question. Tim, when you're saying they're going to end on Starfield, do you think Starfield's then their one more thing, or do you think it'll be the last major thing shown before the one more thing?
That's a good question. To be honest, I think they're going to open on it. I think they're going to show what they did. They opened on it last time. I think they're going to open on it this time. So if you had to ask me, I'm going to say they open it. But the end all thing, that points to me. That could be that could be anything, to be honest. But I do
the opinion that that's going to be either Compulsion, In Exile,
right.
or what's the third one? Oh, the third one being the Roundhouse Studios, the studios that we know like nothing about their games publicly.
Well, it's gonna be something we don't know about, right?
Yeah.
I hope so. That's the surprise element that I talked about. I would like to at least have one of them.
I do think that whatever that one more thing is going to be CG. Because I think that the one more thing is going to be a game that's further off, and I think that's fine.
Agreed.
I would like it if they would do it in that CG style. Who remembers the Skyrim trailer where it is the CG word wall that's all animated, but then it goes back and forth between like a little bit of like gameplay without the HUD, and it's obviously like it was that really famous Skyrim trailer. Do you guys remember it? When it was first, it was like the February trailer.
Can't remember, to be honest.
I'll see if I can find it. I'll put it on my Twitter for anyone who follows me. It's one of the best trailers ever made. It's perfect for a early announcement of a game trailer, though granted it was like only like a year before the game was being launched, where it's both CG and a tiny bit of gameplay that gives you a glimpse of what the game is actually going to look like, but they didn't have to have a full vertical slice for it. So I think they're gonna end on either the Project Midnight, Project Cobalt, or whatever the heck. I have no idea what Roundhouse is making. It's like the one studio that there have been like 6 completely different rumors.
Now, just to interject, I mean, you talked about the possibility of, like, again, this rumored Marcus Phoenix collection. Do you think, those are like remaster, remake, whatever? I've heard a lot being spoken about a Fallout New Vegas remaster, something along those lines. Do you think we could possibly see that?
So, if the rumor was that In Exile is doing them, no. If it's something that Bethesda had in the works prior to the acquisition, then maybe. That would be really cool, and I'd be really happy for it. It just depends on which rumors you believe. If you believe that In Exile is working on them, then absolutely do not expect to see them. It's too early. It's way too early. Let's see. I think Sea of Thieves will be there. I think that's almost a guarantee. It's Microsoft's like biggest breakout single IP. Like a new IP in years. Like Halo, of course, Forza and Gears are all bigger, but like Sea of Thieves is their like in like almost 2 generations, their like biggest new IP on the market, and it's doing so well as a live service. So I genuinely believe an update for Sea of Thieves will be there. I mean, last year's Sea of Thieves update was wild. The Pirates Life one, that came out of left field. So I do think Sea of Thieves will be there. I don't think State of Decay will be there. I think there's a good chance that the Shadowrun project that Jeff Grubb had talked about on Grub Snacks is there. It's believed to be codenamed Project Vonnegut. No idea who's making it.
Well, that would coincide nicely with the Game Pass editions, right?
Yes, it would. Because then they can show, like, get caught up now with the 3 games coming to Game Pass on, what, like June 16th, I think, or something like that?
Very soon, yeah.
Yeah. I actually don't think GoldenEye will be at this show. I think it's going to be at Keighley show. Because I think it's going to have... I think that... Because that's a marketing, or a, like, licensing nightmare between MGM, Microsoft, and, Nintendo. For, like, ownership of parts of the IP.
Yeah.
And we know from the achievements that the Donkey Kong mode is still in it. And it's not the Xbox Live Arcade version that never released that actually had that renamed to Monkey Mode. So I think that's actually shown on neutral ground and announced for Xbox and Switch. I think that's announced at Keighley show. That's my opinion on it, though. Could it be at the Xbox show? Absolutely. If it's not at Keighley show, guarantee you it's at the Xbox show. I'm torn on whether As Dusk Falls will be at the Xbox show or not, because it's going to be at the Tribeca Games Festival. That's like the Tribeca Film Festival, and they're showing off like a huge in-depth thing on it, and that's like really soon. It's before the Xbox showcase. So I don't know if they'll waste the time covering it again, other than like, hey, this is coming to Game Pass this year, and like a brief like 20-second coverage. I don't know if they will want to use, because even if they're at a 2-hour showcase, I think they're going to be tight, right? So I don't know how much, maybe name dropped. Same thing goes with Plague Tale Requiem, which we know is coming this year, and it's going to be a day 1 game. It's getting like a playable demo at the Tribeca Film Festival. So like I don't know whether or not, like, how Xbox is going to handle that, showing it again. Project Belfry by Stoic, the side-scroller beat-em-up that kind of resembles a Castle Crashers game with a Princess Mononoke art style.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I think, guaranteed to be there. I think Project Indus by Oxide Interactive, which is supposed to be a 4K strategy game, I think that shows up. Project Shaolin, that's like the game that's supposed to have like the Wu-Tang Clan making the music. I think that shows up more likely than not, but I don't know. The Monster Hunter game by Certain Affinity, I think that started development in 2019. I think that has a good chance of showing up. I think Project Dragon gets teased, the IO Interactive game. I don't think if we get a trailer, it'll be a like mostly CG, maybe with a little bit of light gameplay in it. It would be wild if we got the Jeff Grubb Kojima game. But again, I think that, like, because Keighley's such good friends with Kojima, it would be hilarious if Kojima just came out on stage during Keighley's show and was like, yeah, so I'm making Death Stranding 2 for PlayStation, and I'm making a cloud game with Xbox. Like, I think that would be hilarious for Keighley's show.
It would be, but I also think that, I mean, it would just bring so much more attention if Kojima was just on the Xbox stage itself.
Well, imagine, like, he announces it at Keighley's show, and it's like, tune in on the 12th, and I'll show you what it is.
Ooh, maybe. That could be
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Xbox they are partners with the Summer Game Fest. So, like, they more or less know what Keighley's doing, and Keighley more or less knows what they're doing. So that would be interesting to see. Looking through Machine Games Indiana Jones is a tough one, because they said Indiana Jones was announced in 2020, and they said it was in really early development.
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah, that's all right.
So I don't think like seeing Indiana Jones would be. It wouldn't be impossible because Machine Games has an insanely fast development time. I mean, they were putting out the Wolfenstein games like every other year.
Well, have we heard anything about a Wolfenstein 3 at all?
So there's people who say that Pete Hines confirmed Wolfenstein 3 was in development, and all he said was we hadn't seen the last of Wolfenstein. So that doesn't mean that Wolfenstein's the next thing, but also they haven't done anything since Youngblood, and Youngblood was not even totally like holistically developed by them.
Right.
It was them and Arcane Austin, I believe. So
is that 2019?
I think so. So that's still a large amount of time in between their last game and now. So could we see, I mean, a Wolfenstein 3 reveal would be kind of crazy. Especially if it's coming out soon, you know? Like that could be like a hey, this is actually coming out this year kind of thing. I wouldn't put it past them, but I also wouldn't get my hopes up, you know what I mean? Ark will definitely be there. Survival Evolved. I'm just trying. What are some third-party games coming out this year?
Well, again, do you think
Warhammer,
Thorn will be there.
For example, Dark Tide, they had a CGI trailer at their thing, but they didn't have any gameplay. I don't think. Do you think that there's
would be nice to get gameplay?
Yeah.
That could explain why they only had CG at the Warhammer thing, because that was kind of disappointing. I wanted more gameplay of Dark Tide because I have friends who love Warhammer, and I'm totally gonna download and play Dark Tide with them. So
well, they do again. It is exclusive, right? So I could see them holding some gameplay for the Xbox thing.
Yeah, that would be good. I think Diablo 4 shows up. I don't know whether or not they'll say it's coming to Game Pass day one or not yet. Because they could always form a deal that's tandem on the acquisition or not, where like the game will come to Game Pass and you'll get paid on this date, and like unless the acquisition goes through, then there's like the deal is essentially finished. So like we could see like a Diablo 4 Game Pass announcement, because that should be like the next Blizzard game coming out, and Diablo 2 was at the showcase last year.
That's correct.
Part of me wonders if they aren't kind of leveraging the knowledge that they're going to be acquiring Activision Blizzard and trying to form a temporary deal to get stuff into Game Pass faster. I'm not expecting it, but like it would be kind of cool if they did.
Well, the Activision Blizzard thing's kind of a wild card right now, because it's like, what could they,
They can't put the things into Game Pass straight up. They don't have creative control. So if they wanted to put them into Game Pass, they would have to sign a deal with Activision Blizzard that essentially says they'll pay them if the deal doesn't go through to put them in. Like they theoretically could do that. Because like with Bethesda, we didn't see anything go in except for Doom Eternal and Skyrim, which were put in very close to when the deal was announced, because more likely than not, those were games that were already coming to Game Pass, and they just those were already existing deals. So I don't know. I'd like to see the Call of Duty back catalog come. I think that would be a really good announcement.
Yeah, I think it'd be too soon though.
I do as well. They just keep popping up on. We were talking about that RTS that keeps popping up on.
Horizon Nations.
Yeah, the Call of Duty games keep popping up flagged as discounted with Game Pass.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
in groups of them, which is abnormal. Like occasionally you'll get one game that your Xbox will just bug out and say that like it's discounted with Game Pass, but like groups of them came out and said they were discounted with Game Pass. It's happened once or twice. So it's possible. I don't want to get my hopes up in the slightest about it, but that would be a cool announcement, you know?
Mhm.
Whenever that happens, that's going to be a very awesome announcement, and I'm going to be all here for it. There's like 8 of them I want to play the campaigns of.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just it's just an interesting thing to bring up, the whole Blizzard Activision thing. I think it's too soon as well, but you never know. They could have had like a deal for an announcement, because I know everybody's kind of curious if there's going to be like a new Crash game announced, the Wumpa League or Crash Bash.
Yeah, Jez accidentally leaked that yesterday. The 4-player Crash game.
Well, I
That was
mean,
really fun.
to be fair, I mean, he didn't really. I mean, I kind of knew about it already because there was already some like leaks and hints about it before. But I mean, it does give it more, make it more of a reality for sure. So
Yeah, and then one last thing, and then I'll be done. Controllers. There's definitely gonna be something with controllers, and I think that Jason Ronald has something to announce with like a system feature. I think that maybe they announce like a resolution boost kind of thing, because they can show that with gameplay, and they can be like, look at these games running better. And I think they can do like a 30-second reel of it.
all right, very cool. No, those were some excellent thoughts and ideas there, Crusader. Definitely very thorough. I know you're got all kinds of threads on this stuff. Guys, follow him for really in-depth, really high-quality discussions on leaks and rumors. He collects all kinds of information. Really solid with that stuff. Centurion Pal, I want to head over to you and get your take. Obviously, giant show coming up, 2 hours approximately, give or take a few minutes. Honestly, what do you expect to be there?
Forgive me. I don't want to sit and drag the audience through everything everyone's labeled off. I mean, let's face it, everything we've grown accustomed to Xbox to bring to the table, they always show up with at their digital events for me. I don't hold my expectations on some glorious pedestal. I get excited for the games that I want to see there. Games like it's really tragic. I'd like to hear more about Atomic Heart. I put a lot of I put a lot of effort into learning about that game. I would like to see that come to fruition rather than not. Obviously, we want to see the gameplay from Starfield. Somebody mentioned what's next for Sea of Thieves, Halo. We all know what's going. Here's the funny part: we actually know a lot about what is going to be there this year. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we could just pluck out of the air and be like, yes, this is probably more than likely going to be there, or at an event at Summer of Game Fest. For me, it's those surprise moments of stuff that I couldn't think of that I enjoy the most, and that's what I get excited for. And I can't guess at them. Call me odd. I love always having the conversations about the what ifs and what can take place. I mean, like Phil Spencer could come out there right now with Jim Ryan and give the world's biggest group hug. I mean, like it's just one of those things where I love surprises. We should all just be excited for, the advancement in gaming, especially with gaming at an all-time high. I want gaming to stay in a positive light, and gaming is a great thing. And I don't want to see the whole toxic thing of what's been going on in social media kind of ruin on the parade. Let's get excited for the fact that for the next 2-3 months we're going to start seeing more game content than we've seen in a while. We'll be able to see what our favorite developers are working on, what our favorite publishers are deciding to put out for us next. And it's a great time to be a gamer, and I'm not going to sit here with the whole golden age of gaming thing. All I'm going to say is that we should just be happy that we're going to be able to have something. I mean, with everything that's going on in the world, I'm just looking forward to being able to keep gaming and look what the industry has to offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's a really fantastic take that you have. Again, this is just predictions,
I
guessing
know
on
I'm
our
not over
part.
here like doing the whole Xbox hype train, but that's why everybody's been doing a great job tonight talking about exactly what they want to see at the shows, what we could potentially see at the shows. And that's where I'm always like, I love those what if moments. I mean, one of the best moments that I could think of recently, Keanu Reeves. Nobody had any idea it was going to be total flop of a game. Keanu Reeves is still the best thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Truthfully, though, I just want, like, overall, I just want to see gameplay. Lots of actual gameplay. CGI trailers are nice, but gameplay, get some dates in there. Show me Starfield gameplay. Show me Redfall gameplay. I mean, I'm not expecting the release dates as of yet, but again, just show me a whole bunch of gameplay for things that I'm going to be playing within the next 6 to 8 months.
When we hear dates, what do we mean by dates? If I can see, that's where, like, with all the delays that are taking place lately and the uncertainties that are going on in the world, and that's where, is it fair to want to like shoehorn them into having to put a date, or would you rather have them at least show some stuff? Hey, this is what we've been working on, and kind of give a general idea, but not like an actual solid date.
Well, general idea is fair. I mean, first quarter of this, spring of that. Nothing has to be locked down, but just a general idea of, oh, hey, this is coming sooner rather than later would kind of be nice in my opinion. Because, I mean, some of these games we've had trailers for, like, going on, 2 or 3 years now, like Avowed. I mean, it would be nice to see some gameplay for that.
Yeah, even if they do like a season like a spring release or summer release, like as long as they give us a window, which gives them a little bit of wiggle room and gives us like something to expect, I think that will be fine.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody's really gonna get on the studios if again, some things, might get a little more, pushed out than we would have liked. I mean, I think most people are pretty understanding to the realities of the real world and things that have gone on. Even if it is frustrating, a la Starfield and so on, but these things are coming. But I mean, I do want to see a big blowout of gameplay for Starfield. I mean, I think, there are some expectations that need to be met. I don't think it's too far-fetched to want those things. And I mean, again, as far as my own personal opinion, I would love to see Compulsion's Project Midnight. It's been a few years since we've heard anything from them. They've been very quiet, and judging by some leaked concept art, again, I'm interested in what they're working on, and I think that judging their pedigree and the games that they've worked on, they make some really high quality, interesting worlds that you just want to fall into, and with the interesting storylines that they create. Yeah.
There was one game that came to mind just now, and the funny part is it wasn't mentioned, but if I'm sitting here thinking what game would I want to see the most at this event, and don't ask me why, but I want to see more about State of Decay 3 because of the whole Unreal Engine 5 thing. And I loved the concept of State of Decay. It was a really fun game. Played the first one, played the second one, should have played it longer, but I ended up I beat it twice. I know you're supposed to play that game multiple times, but I only did 2 run-throughs before I ended up playing something else. But still great games, and I want to see what the third one has to offer.
Okay, I mean, that's fair, obviously, and I know a lot of people that are looking forward to that. State of Decay is a pretty huge franchise for Xbox, now that I think about it. They're pretty gung-ho on it. It's a very interesting open-world zombie title. I've never played it personally, but a few of my friends are very... Hey, man, you only got so much time for so many games, all right? I wish I could play everything. I know, sacrilege, but it does look cool. I'm not saying it's not. And I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of people in the chat that would agree with like that they want to see some State of Decay 3. No doubt. No doubt on that. No, that's cool, Century. No, some good thoughts there. Eric Pal, I mean, I'd love to get your take on this to round out the crew. What would you really like to see? Like some realistic expectations, some of your own little wild card predictions. What do you want to see at the Xbox Bethesda show?
other than like I think people have touched on it, the 007 GoldenEye remake hopefully finally come out. I would really like to see them tackle another, since they're not afraid to use other studios to tackle Rare IP. I'm hoping they can announce another Rare IP. It was so strange to me when they decided to like, yeah, we'll put Banjo on Smash, and take that whole leap of positive news and like, hey, people are learning about Banjo, especially now with Banjo being on the Switch,
Yes.
Nintendo Online, Banjo Kazooie. Why not just like, okay, cool, let's try to get that nostalgia going, and with some of those Nintendo fans that still only are on the Switch, or haven't touched the Xbox in forever, but do want to play a new Banjo that's not nuts and bolts, and get some of those people hyped to like, oh shit, I want to play this new modern version of Banjo or something. They have a ton of IP to use, so I'm hopeful like they'll at least we'll get one of those Metroid Prime 4 JPEG announcements, something, just to let us know like, oh, okay, we're making a new Banjo or making a new Conker or something. Like that would get a huge reveal. Like they should just announce it and just like worry about like which studio. I'm just surprised that they're not like at least having somebody make it outside of their own studios. Like, hey, we need a competent studio. Hey, let's get this studio. Like kind of like how they, they're using Crystal Dynamics right now. Like but everybody's probably busy with their own shit. But they could at least find somebody that would make it worthwhile. That's a big enough IP to make it worth paying somebody out of pocket. But I'm hopeful we get one of those announcements one of these days. But trying to think of I'm hopeful to see if we get any more announcements from some of the first studios that they acquired. Like Compulsion, like we've seen what Ninja Theory's been doing, obviously. But we haven't seen anything of what Compulsion's doing. We know about State of Decay 3, but obviously we didn't really see anything from that other than that just CGI trailer. But it'd be cool to see what Impulsion's doing and what In Exile's doing. So I think those are the two early ones we haven't seen much from.
100% great to bring them up. I think though, I get the feeling that they're a year off from showing, especially in Exile. Both are using Unreal Engine 5. The story on Compulsion, I said it a couple of times here. When they first got purchased, they didn't really want to be a small studio. They said that we want to grow like the other studios. We want our own studio, and they made their case, and supposedly they got what they wanted, and the thing that they showed Phil impressed Phil. So how far in development are they on with it? We don't know. All I know is that they are very interesting. Their creative guy, the director, I don't know his name, Guillermo, I think, is his name. We had him on the Forgotten tapes of TXR, where we used to have a lot of interviews. It was the original cast with Rand and Maka, and we got unfortunately it was deleted somehow. But we had that guy, and let me tell you something. He's the type of guy that's going to be very interesting for Microsoft, because he's going to push the limits, I think, and he comes up with gameplay, situations or stuff that is a little risque and edgy, and could be a lot of fun, to be honest. And he takes risks, so really looking forward to what he's showing. And I agree 100%, Shock. If they could show that, that would be really nice. And listen, I don't have to say, listen, I said we're going to see a lot of gameplay. We will. But if they show us the gameplay, then that affords them the ability to maybe show this game that they're working off. It doesn't have to be, all gameplay. It could just be a teaser and just give us an idea of maybe the world and or some of the characters, kind of like what Redfall did last year. So, let's be honest. It'd be pretty hard for them to screw the show up with the amount of stuff that we just went through. I mean, I listened to Crusader go through everything, and Ghost, General MLD go through all this stuff that I forgot about, and yourself, Shock, and Vader. They got so much stuff coming. Like, that's what excites me is that they really can't screw this up. At the end of the day, they could come up with something this week to add into the show, or whether it be an Exiles project, they could just tease it. And there's really no way they could screw this up, in my opinion. And if they do screw it up, that's on them, because they have more than enough stuff to show or tease, and they've already went out on the limb and showed games way far in development that probably should have been shown, but they had to show because they were getting there was a growing theme that Xbox had no games, and they needed to make an announcement, so they did all that. And now we're transitioning to a different phase now where we're seeing the gameplay. But it's still okay to do that, in my opinion, to show games that are a little out there, and that would involve the Exiles, the Compulsions, and the Roadhouses of their studio catalog. Why not, right? And let's be honest, if they get Activision, they're gonna kick ass. I mean, this is gonna be a great show, but if we really look ahead, I think we got a lot of fun times, a lot of fun shows to go through, because 2023, we really can get an amazing a year, like a year that we never had. And one of the things I brought up too on the other show too is, Stalker 2, the development team now supposedly has transitioned out of Ukraine, and now are supposedly working now on the project again, and they have resumed. So getting the Stalker 2 demo or something of that gameplay would be really cool, just because of all the stuff that they've endured. And even if they gave a release date a year away, or they delayed it, because I think we all think it's going to get delayed out of the holiday, just because of the war, and that's not on them. But I think it would be really cool if they could. Really nice to see if they could show maybe more of the game, and say we're looking to release this game in 2023, and they tell a little bit of their developmental story, because supposedly, like I said, they have transitioned now and are back working, which is great. And all my love, and I think everyone on this panel gives them all the support. What they went through, what they had to go through, was extremely tough. And all the Microsoft representatives that were in Ukraine that have now been transitioned to different areas safely, maybe they can get some normalcy in their lives, because it's been pretty hard on them, and my heart goes out to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, well said, Tim. And between Stalker 2 and the situation revolving around Atomic Heart as well, both games with a lot of on a lot of people's radars that are coming out around the same time period. I'll be curious to see how how their teams manage with everything going on. So fingers crossed we see something from them in the somewhat near future. But all the best to those teams, and hopefully they're doing well. But yeah, guys, we talked a lot of stuff. We gave a lot of varied predictions, and we all have different games that we're really looking forward to. Anybody else have anything to add before we close out the show? All right, I'll take that as a no. But we said a lot. And that Xbox has. Xbox has like you said, Tim. Xbox has so much content, like it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and I think everybody's gonna be happy, like in the next year or two, especially with the
Oh,
Activision purchase. It's gonna be unbelievable. Um,
if they don't get that Activision, that'd be a stomach punch. But let me tell you, if they do get that Activision, you're talking about a big event. You're talking about all Call of Duties day one in Game Pass. You're talking about the legacy of Call of Duty. The Diablo, Warcraft,
Overwatch.
everything that they bring to the table all now on Xbox. Um, Absolutely crazy. We love it. Um, Xbox is the place to be, and I'm glad that we stuck with them. And there were times when they had 4 studios, and we still were rooting them on. In hindsight, looking back at them, I kind of laughed because I think, how the hell did they pull it off? But they did, and they always, they kept us going and they gave us faith. And now we're just, trouncing we're about to trounce the competition. And when it comes to games, I think Xbox is gonna have no match out there. Especially if you get Activision, you're talking about 34 studios, 50 development games in development. Um, just happy, and then being that there's an Xbox centric podcast, it's just great that we all stuck with it from everyone in the chat and watching the program to everyone on the panel. We've had some tough times, and we got ridiculed, and there were times where it looked like Xbox was done. But now they're on fire, and my thing is let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the next 5 years or however long they can keep this going, because they're gonna have, like I said, a shit ton of games. 2023 could be unmatched. I mean, you could if you could literally have 4 or 5 AAAs, with Stalker and all these all these third parties and everything, could be crazy.
Agreed. And yeah, there's just a lot of content, in the work, almost too much. But I'm not gonna complain. Not gonna complain by any means. Xbox has a bright future, and on it, like, how can you complain, like, especially with the amount of studios that they have and the multiple teams? Like, it's just it's very hopeful, and I think that within the next year you will see a lot more content being coming down the pipeline for sure. But yeah, guys, with all that said, I think that covers things for tonight's show. And honestly, excellent chat tonight all across the various members of the panel. Lots of interesting thoughts on the topics and the predictions for the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. We really appreciate everyone that came out tonight to check us out live. Great crowd as per usual. And hey, guys, if you happen to enjoy tonight's offerings, then consider hitting that like button, sharing this out across social media, and subbing to the channel. Now, with that said, let's get to some of the outros, and I'll start off with Centurion. Centurion, buddy, great show tonight. Where can all these fine people listening in find you?
Well, gentlemen, it was another great conversation tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in the chat. For those interested in finding me, you can locate me at Centurion1307 on YouTube, Xbox Live, and, of course, Twitter. You can also find me here every Sunday night right here on the TXR Podcast with these amazing gentlemen. And you can also find me every Wednesday night on Gaming Beyond the Box, hosted by Wilmy Hood and his amazing cast over there.
Well said, well said. Moving on down, Tim Dog, buddy, loved your thoughts. Again, you got so much passion for the Xbox community and whatnot. It's always a treat hearing your thoughts. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter, xCloud Tim Dog, and the same thing on Xbox. Now, I've been playing a little bit of Trek to Yoakum, Yomi, and obviously been playing my sports games, Madden and NBA, and and the show. I have to say though, I've been really light gaming for about a month. I really want to kind of get back into it, and hopefully next week kicks it off. Maybe we get Final Fantasy VII would be a great game to jump into. I still got to finish Gears of the Galaxy, that game, Guardians of the Galaxy. But just really happy that we're gonna have a nice week. I'm off on Sunday, and we'll be back next Sunday, and we'll have a lot to talk about. It's gonna be a really fun day. So hopefully this week we don't get some stupid leaks or these stupid things that happen. So if you are one of those people that don't want to be spoiled, stay away from the chats and the Twitters, because these are the weeks that they tend to break. But I'm hoping we get there and we're not surprised, or we don't get any surprises until the day of the show. So yeah, just super happy to be here. Great show. Centurion, Crusader, MLD, Invader, Shock. You guys, just awesome. And thank you for making the show what it is and just keeping it going. It's nice that we could come here every Sunday and talk about Xbox.
Mm-hmm. No, well said, Tim. And we all have a passion for the Xbox community and just, again, the games that come out, right? So and lots to look forward to. From Xbox, whether it be exclusive wise or whatever deals they got going on, and just gaming in general, really. Down the list, Eric Shockley, pal. Again, I thought you had some really good points tonight, and predictions were pretty on point as well. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, as always, you can find me at Shock Nero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. But yeah, good show tonight. Awesome predictions, and definitely hyped for this next Sunday. Especially since we're one of the first shows right after the event. So definitely, hopefully we got a lot to talk about next weekend. So, but yeah, good show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the timing works out pretty well for that, no doubt. Moving on down here, Crusader, pal. Again, you got quite the collection of threads there, and man, they came in handy for tonight. Good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff for sure. And where can these fine people find you?
You can find me on Xbox at Crusader3456, as well as on Twitter with the same name and Reddit with the same name. People should know that I will not be covering any showcase leaks on Twitter with my account starting this week. If there had been stuff last week leaked, I would have. But at this point, we're too close. I'm not going to be sharing anything on Twitter. I will be talking about it in threads on Reddit if stuff does come up, but don't expect to see it on my Twitter account because I don't want to ruin it for other people. And I did promise I would mention the Warhammer Magic the Gathering Commander decks for my friend. They look great. So yeah, you can find me in those places, and there was great discussions tonight, all around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. And General MLD, pal. Again, you had quite the list there of games that you want to see, and hey, I hope we see all of them as well. Where can everybody follow you?
Thank you. I mean, hey, we are in the calm of the storm right now, so I'm looking forward to next Sunday talking with you fine gentlemen here, deconstructing everything that goes down. But Ghost MLD is my Xbox gamer tag. You'll find me on Twitter at MLD Ghost. Just to give me, I guess it'll be tricky. I guess we want to be as active as we can on social media, but these leaks tend to happen a couple days before, so it's all about walking that fine line. But I think we'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. But guys, if you don't want to see any leaks, I recommend staying off of social media and avoiding just the gaming articles. Period. So maybe go stealthy the next couple of days. And well, again, just to round out the group, you guys know where you can find me at YouTube, Invader Gaming, and also on the Bluebird app, Twitter that is, at Invader_1986. Fun times tonight with the TXR crew, and we're looking forward to seeing you all here next Sunday for our coverage of the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, all the announcements and goodies there. See you all next week, everyone. Have a good one. It's going to be exciting. Going to be exciting to say the least.